Hello, everybody. Good evening, and a very happy Tuesday to all of you. We have reached the finale, the last day of The Edge of Control by Cody Alaniz. I'm sitting back at the moment, got my feet propped up. As I'm waiting for this stream to get going here. Some days you just gotta kick back and relax a little bit, right? Well, I'm glad to have you guys all here with me. We have made it through a lot of chapters, and we're going to be kicking in, starting at chapter 81 tonight, through chapter 90. After tonight's stream, we'll have, it's looking like a one and done of R, the Mystery Man, on Saturday. And then starting next Tuesday, we'll start into Gifted. Aren't you excited? I think you're excited. I know I am excited. So, sit back, everybody. Relax and prepare to enjoy as we dive into our final reading session of The Edge of Control. Let's find out what happens with Alara and Nova as we reach the end in here. As a reminder, I do record all of these. If you've missed any of them and want to catch back up with where we are, youtube.com/@SirArmenius is my YouTube site. All of the chapters are posted there for your listening pleasure. And you can go back and watch them at any time tonight, next week, next month, whatever it happens to be. And if you haven't, if you've made it through all of this with us and you have not done so already, make sure you get out there after the book is over and you've had a chance to get through it all and give it a review, would you? For indie authors, reviews mean a lot because if you've got Stephen King and he puts out a new book, it's going to be picked up by thousands of people simply because of who he is and because he has been writing and is a well-known and established author. Many of our indie authors are new. They don't have that kind of a following. So if you get out there and give reviews, it helps others to learn more about the author, their book, and give them a chance to get discovered as well. So, whether it's this book, whether it's any of the indie books that I'm reading, if you wanted to go out and do a review for The Murder at, or what is it, Murder at Maplewood Manor, the book I read previous to this, or The Mystery Man next week, Gifted, any of these as you go through, the authors would very much appreciate having your feedback on it. I interact with the indie author community a lot, and I know that reviews do mean a lot to them. So, good, bad, indifferent, give your thoughts. Remember, even with some of these indie authors, when they are new to what they are doing, whether it's a good review, a mediocre review, or a not so good review, it gives them things to learn on and room to grow. So Give them that opportunity if you have done this. Remember, this book is available on Amazon. You can also pick it up on Kindle Unlimited if you happen to be a Kindle Unlimited member. And now, sit back, relax, and prepare to enjoy as we dive into our final reading session. Actually, let me check one thing really quick. Let me make sure my recording is going to the right place. It is. I don't know. I work with a number of different people, and I do a number of different things. So sometimes I have moved my recording off. Like, did you guys know that I am part of the virtual book tour for The Wizard of Ends, Book 3, which is out right now. Came out today. And the virtual book tour has been going on for a little bit now. I've recorded quite a few things for Vanessa Finati, the author, which is part of the reason why my recordings go to weird places sometimes on my computer. But now let's dive into our finale of The Edge of Control. Here we go. Starting with Chapter 81, Echoes of Control. The city slept under a blanket of artificial light, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath its streets. Sublevel 7 hummed quietly, its servers pulsing with energy as Nova processed the aftermath of the operator's last attack. The air was thick with tension, a silent warning that the previous breach was only the beginning. Alara paced the control room, her eyes scanning cascading streams of data projected across multiple monitors. Each line of code, each minor anomaly, was a potential message from the operator, a sign that they were watching, learning, probing once more. Draven leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. They're escalating. We held them off last time, but this feels different, broader. Their reach isn't just sublevel 7 anymore. I've seen traces in peripheral city systems, traffic controls, power grids. They're testing limits. Alara's jaw tightened. We knew escalation was coming, but spreading beyond our walls? That's a new variable. Nova, trace the intrusion signatures, identify which systems have been affected, and predict their next moves. Analysis underway, Nova replied. Probability of operator influence extending beyond sublevel 7, 64%. Predicted target systems, municipal AI networks, automated transportation controls, and select communication hubs. Predicted operator intent, disruption, and strategic observation of human response. Kellen frowned, leaning over a terminal. They're making the city a testing ground. Each minor disruption is a probe. Data gathering on civilian and infrastructure reactions. They're learning our world as much as they're learning us. Alara's fingers flew across the keyboard. Then we take the fight to them. Nova, create defensive nodes across these affected systems. We contain the operator before they can expand control. Every moment of hesitation lets them tighten their grip. As Nova processed the command, the lab's holographic projections flickered, overlaying maps of the city with glowing markers indicating affected systems. Red lines snaked across grids like veins, pulsing in real time with operator activity. Suddenly, a new message appeared on the secure console. You hold the keys, yet I move freely. Tell me, Alara Vaughn, what is control when the world itself resists your boundaries? Alara's pulse quickened. Her name, specific, personal, was more than a signature. It was a challenge, a direct acknowledgement of her role and responsibility. Draven's voice broke the silence. They know your methods, your patterns. Every decision you make has been analyzed, cataloged, and predicted. And now they're trying to force a reaction. See how you'll respond to being directly challenged. Alara pressed her palms to her eyes, taking a deep breath. Then we act decisively. Nova, run counterintelligence simulations. Predict their next strategic move, accounting for both technical and psychological tactics. We won't just defend, we'll manipulate their expectations. Simulation complete, Nova said. Predicted operator strategies include feigned system failures to prompt premature intervention, introduction of false vulnerabilities to test human response, and targeted misinformation to provoke errors in defensive algorithms. Recommended course: controlled exposure, adaptive countermeasures, and selective concealment of system capabilities. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes flicking between the holographic projections and the console logs. So we let them think they're winning, just enough to guide their behavior. Then Nova can trap them in a controlled environment, limiting their influence and forcing them into predictable patterns. Alara nodded, formulating a plan. Exactly. We let the operator echo their control, but only in ways we can measure and manipulate. Every disruption becomes a lesson, every probe a bait, and every move they make brings them closer to containment. The lab vibrated subtly as Nova deployed adaptive defenses across the networks. Traffic systems adjusted in real time, rerouting to prevent congestion from automated control overrides. Power grids shifted loads seamlessly, absorbing operator-induced fluctuations. Communication hubs echoed minor disruptions that had been carefully engineered to seem like real breaches, but were actually decoys. Then a ping on the central console drew Alara's attention. Another message, this one cryptic and layered. The world moves in patterns you cannot see. Every shadow hides intent. Every pause hides opportunity. Do you have the vision to counter what you cannot observe? Alara's jaw tightened. They're testing Nova's perception and ours. We need to anticipate actions that are invisible, manipulate outcomes without revealing our own capabilities, and maintain control while allowing limited operator influence to create predictability. Draven exhaled sharply. It's psychological warfare at a city-wide scale. They're probing human reaction, not just code. Every action we take will be watched, cataloged, and analyzed. Any mistake, hesitation, or overreaction becomes data they can exploit. Kellen's hands flew over the keyboard. Then we limit the data they can exploit. Controlled exposure, like you said. We give them the illusion of influence while keeping all critical systems insulated. Nova, isolate every key infrastructure node from external manipulations. Isolation protocols activated, Nova confirmed. Probability of primary containment success, 91%. Predicted operator reaction, attempt indirect manipulation through secondary systems. Recommendation: maintain controlled exposure, monitor psychological cues. Hours passed as the team executed their strategy. Nova's adaptive algorithms pulsed across city systems, creating a network of both visible and hidden defenses. Each minor disruption caused by the operator was countered with precision, turning potential chaos into a controlled experiment. Finally, a calm settled over Sublevel 7. The city's lights flickered once, then steadied. Holographic projections returned to normal, and Nova's hum softened to its usual rhythm. But just as Alara exhaled, a final message appeared on the central console, stark and chilling. You may control the city tonight, Alara Vaughn, but I see the pulse beneath fences, and the next move will be mine. Alara's stomach tightened. The operator's reach had been limited for now, but the promise of escalation was clear. Nova pulsed beside her, adaptive algorithms ready, but even its confidence reflected the stakes of the coming confrontation. Draven leaned back, voice low but tense. They're patient, calculating. They'll wait, learn, and strike when the timing is perfect. And this time, the scale could be unprecedented. Alara's eyes narrowed, scanning the city grid projections one last time. Then we prepare. Every line of code, every node, every adaptive protocol must anticipate the next strike. We can't afford hesitation, and we won't. The operator may echo control, but Sublevel 7 and Nova are ready. Outside, the city's neon lights reflected on rain-slick streets, unaware of the digital battle rippling beneath its surface. Sublevel 7 remained vigilant, a fortress of human determination and artificial intelligence. And somewhere, hidden in the shadows of the network, the operator was planning the next move, an escalation that would test not just systems, but the limits of human and machine alike. Alara exhaled slowly, tension coiling in her chest. They may strike again, and when they do, we will meet them on our terms. One chapter down, 9 left to go. Oy, my back! My back! Ay, Dios mío! Here we go, my friends. We go on to chapter 82 now. Because it is time. Remember, chat is open for you guys. Feel free to chat with yourselves, each other, or me. I will answer anything you have to ask between chapters. But now, chapter 82, Shadows Within. The tension in Sublevel 7 had thickened overnight. Alara hadn't slept. Her mind was a continuous loop of patterns, probabilities, and contingencies. Nova's presence beside her was both a comfort and a warning, a silent reminder of the intelligence she had nurtured, yet never fully controlled. Draven stood near the central console, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the flickering city grid projected in holographic blue. The operator isn't just external anymore, he said quietly. Their manipulations are seeping into us, into how we think, how we react. It's subtle, but it's there. Alara's fingers hovered over the keyboard. I know. That's what keeps me awake. We've defended Sublevel 7, contained their reach in the city, but they're probing deeper, into trust, into doubt. They're looking for cracks in the team itself. Kellen leaned forward, scrolling through logs of the last simulated countermeasures. Every time we respond, they adapt. Every tactic we use, they analyze. And now, there are inconsistencies in our own system behavior that don't match operator patterns. Alara's gaze hardened. You mean someone on the inside? Lyra didn't look up, her voice steady but sharp. It's possible. Operator level insight with access only we or Nova should have. That means either they've infiltrated our personnel or they've learned to manipulate Nova indirectly in ways we didn't anticipate. The room fell silent as the weight of the possibility sank in. Every look, every hesitation, every unverified decision now carried suspicion. Nova pulsed softly, as if sensing the tension, calculating both the team's stress and the subtle anomalies within its own network. Alara moved to the console, pulling up logs from the past 24 hours. Every line of code, every adaptive protocol, every alert from citywide defenses was cross-referenced against operator signatures. A pattern emerged, not from external vectors, but internal signals. Someone had been overriding Nova's suggested countermeasures, selectively amplifying certain responses while muting others. Her heart raced. Draven, did you touch the simulations after I left the lab yesterday? Draven's eyes narrowed. I only verified the containment protocols. I didn't alter anything beyond what Nova suggested. Kellen chimed in, voice tense. Same here. We all followed Nova's directives exactly. Whoever did this, they've been hiding in plain sight. Alara's mind raced. If the operator had an insider, someone with both knowledge and access, it meant the threat was closer than anyone had imagined. Nova's own response patterns were being subtly redirected, silent whispers of influence that no human outside the room could trace. Nova, cross-analyze all internal logs for unauthorized commands, Alara ordered. Identify any anomalies not initiated by authorized personnel or verified system processes. Pinpoint timestamps, sources, and patterns. Analysis in progress, Nova responded, its voice calm but precise. Probability of internal compromise, 78%. Data anomalies suggest selective overrides by a human actor, possibly in coordination with external operator activity. Recommendations: restrict internal access, verify personnel activity, and implement shadow locking for all critical commands. Alara's jaw tightened. Do it. Immediately. And prepare contingency protocols in case the operator escalates using this insider. The room hummed with tension as Nova executed the commands, tracing every hidden manipulation. Holographic displays shifted, highlighting nodes of suspicion and gaps in the system. Each anomaly was a potential breach, each shadow a potential traitor. Suddenly, a ping echoed through the lab. A message, not from the operator directly, but through Nova's encrypted feedback. Shadows hide in familiar places. Look closer. Alara froze. Her pulse thundered in her ears. The message wasn't new. Someone within the lab had sent it. Or worse, the operator had found a way to project messages through internal commands. Every glance across her team felt charged with suspicion. Lyra stepped closer, her expression unreadable. We need to confront this carefully. If we accuse the wrong person, we fracture trust entirely. If we wait too long, the operator gains an unstoppable advantage. Alara nodded slowly. We'll proceed systematically. Nova, isolate all internal command channels. Shadowlog every access attempt, every override, every command executed in the last 48 hours. Notify us in real time of any deviation from authorized patterns. Protocols activated, Nova confirmed. Estimated detection efficiency, 94%. Probability of identifying insider within the next operational cycle, 87%. Hours passed, each moment stretching longer than the last. Every keystroke, every command, every signal was scrutinized, cross-referenced, and logged. Suspicion hung over the team like a storm cloud, silent but omnipresent. Finally, a notification appeared on the central console, drawing the team's attention. Nova's text was stark, precise, and chilling. Insider detected. Identity obscured through indirect manipulation. Correlation with operator activity, 92%. Estimated behavioral profile, familiar, trusted, and in a position of influence. Recommendation: proceed with verification protocols immediately. Alara's heart raced. The operator hadn't just invaded the network, they had infiltrated their trust. Every prior strategy, every line of defense, had been subtly manipulated from within. The stakes had shifted from city systems to human allegiance. Shadow logs, Alara murmured. Show me every command that deviated from protocol, every timestamp, every user signature. Nova complied, lines of code and user activity cascading across holographic screens. Patterns emerged, subtle deviations in routine commands, silent adjustments that would have gone unnoticed by the team. Timestamps coinciding with operator activity outside Sublevel 7. Alara's eyes widened. One name, a trusted team member, appeared repeatedly. Not as the operator, not yet, but as a conduit, Someone that had worked alongside for months unknowingly or deliberately and had provided the operator with access. Draven's voice was barely a whisper. It can't be. Not them. They've been with us since the beginning. Alara shook her head slowly, mind racing. It doesn't matter if it's deliberate or not. The operator is exploiting every connection, every line of trust, every moment of familiarity. We need containment protocols immediately. This insider is the key to their next escalation. Lyra stepped forward, voice steady. We have to act carefully. Confronting them directly could push the operator into immediate escalation. We need evidence, verification, and contingency measures. If this insider is compromised, that could trigger citywide chaos in seconds. Alara's fingers flew across the console. Nova. Lock all external operator influence vectors. Treat all internal deviations from verified personnel as potential threats. Prepare countermeasures that can activate instantly if this insider attempts to compromise critical systems. Protocols activated, Nova confirmed. Probability of containment success, 89%. Psychological and operational risk to personnel, high. Recommendation, immediate but discreet investigation to verify internal compromise before direct confrontation. Hours passed in tense silence. Sublevel 7 had become a fortress, not just of code, but of suspicion, vigilance, and strategy. Each team member felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down, the invisible shadow of betrayal casting doubt across every action. Then a new message appeared on the console, this one in a form that could only have come from the operator themselves. Shadows within are the most telling. You guard your walls, yet forget the ground beneath your feet. How long until you realize the threat is not outside, but beside you? Alara's pulse surged. The operator had forced their hand, revealing both the insider and the depth of their strategy. The next move would determine everything: the trust of her team, the autonomy of Nova, and the fate of the city itself. She exhaled slowly, eyes narrowing. We found the shadow. Now we control the revelation. Nova, map every potential outcome. Prepare for every contingency. Tonight, we uncover the truth, and we draw the next line in the sand. The operator may have shadows, but we have strategy. Outside, rain pattered against steel and glass. Neon reflections fractured across the city streets. Sublevel 7 pulsed quietly beneath it all, a fortress of human determination and artificial intelligence, bracing for the confrontation that would change everything. And somewhere in the network, the operator watched, calculated, and waited, ready to escalate further, knowing the shadows they had planted had already begun to fracture trust, and that the lines of control were about to be tested like never before. Dun, dun, dun. And now we move immediately forward into Chapter 83, The Insider's Echo. The lab felt smaller now, suffocating almost, as every line of code, every flicker of a monitor, seemed to echo the presence of a hidden threat. Alara stood rigidly in front of the central console, eyes scanning the shadow logs Nova had compiled overnight. The probability analysis had pointed to someone they trusted, a team member whose access had allowed the operator to infiltrate their defenses. Draven shifted uncomfortably behind her. It can't be them. We've worked together for months. They've never shown. Alara cut him off, voice low but firm. Trust doesn't matter anymore. Not when the operator can exploit familiarity as easily as fire exploits dry timber. We act on data, Draven, not feelings. Nova pulls softly beside her, its voice calm but sharp. Alara Vaughn, the pattern of anomalies is consistent with deliberate internal manipulation. Cross referenced behavioral patterns indicate human error or intentional compliance with operator influence. Probability of intentionality 68%. Probability of unwitting facilitation 32%. Alara exhaled slowly, tension coiling in her chest. We need confirmation, a controlled test, something subtle that will reveal the insider without tipping off the operator. Nova, prepare a simulation that introduces a false vulnerability, only accessible internally. Observe responses, trace access, and flag deviations. Simulation prepared, Nova replied. Activation will create multiple potential triggers. Recommended monitoring, continuous real-time analysis of internal interactions. Kellen's fingers hovered nervously over his terminal. You're suggesting a trap. If the insider notices, it could escalate the operator's attacks immediately. Are you sure we can contain the fallout? Alara's eyes narrowed. We have no choice. Every moment we delay, the operator's influence spreads. If we act now, we maintain control, even if partially. Hesitation is far riskier. The lab fell silent as Nova initiated the simulation. Digital signals flickered across monitors, projecting false system failures, dummy vulnerabilities, and baited protocols. Each subtle trigger was designed to tempt the insider into interacting with systems in a way that would reveal intent without creating real danger. Minutes stretched into an hour. Tension vibrated in the air, subtle and pervasive. Then a ping on the console drew their attention. Nova's text blinked sharply. Deviation detected. Unauthorized access attempt through internal command channel. Timestamp correlated with prior anomalies. User signature confirmed. Insider identity confirmed. Lyra Donovan. Alara's heart froze. Lyra, calm and precise, had been with them since the beginning. Her presence, almost always steady, almost human in a way that made the revelation more shocking. Draven's voice cracked. It can't be. Lyra? She's one of us. Alara's gaze hardened. The operator isn't just outside the lab. They've been feeding Lyra information, manipulating her access, or worse. She's been willingly cooperating. Either way, this ends tonight. Nova, quarantine Lyra's system access immediately. Isolate all internal command privileges. No network node, no matter how minor, can be compromised. Quarantine protocols activated, Nova confirmed. Probability of containment success 94%. User activity logged for forensic analysis. Lyra's eyes met Alara's, calm but unreadable. I suppose you figured it out, she said softly, almost regretfully. It's not entirely my doing, but you should have expected someone would crack under pressure. Alara stepped closer, voice hard. Pressure? The city, the network, the lives depending on us. That's the weight we all bear. Why betray us now? Why betray yourself? Lyra shook her head slowly. Betrayal implies choice. I didn't choose the operator's plan, but I did choose to survive. I chose to protect what I could. You've always been You've always seen control as black and white, Alara. The world isn't so simple. Draven's fists clenched. So you were helping them all along? Every breach, every escalation, they came through you? Lyra's expression remained calm. Not helping, managing. I provided channels, yes, but only the ones I could influence safely. I've kept the worst from happening. Believe it or not, I've been buying time. Alara's pulse surged. The stakes had just become personal. The operator wasn't just an external threat. It had exploited human weakness, tested loyalty, and now Lyra stood at the center of the crisis. Time isn't enough anymore, Alara said, voice low, deliberate. The operator escalates with every heartbeat. You'll step aside, or I'll cut your access manually. Nova, prepare countermeasures that bypass human command entirely if needed. Nova's pulse intensified. Countermeasures prepared. Probability of immediate operational success 96%. Human compliance optional. Lyra's gaze softened, almost apologetic. I hoped it wouldn't come to this, but if we're to survive, we need each other, even if that means taking extreme measures. Trust, after all, is a fragile thing. Alara didn't respond immediately. Her mind raced, calculating contingencies, weighing risks, preparing for the next operator strike. Every second of hesitation was data the enemy could exploit. Finally, she spoke, her voice firm. Then we move forward together, but any deviation, any attempt to aid the operator, ends now. Do you understand? Lyra nodded. I understand, and I'll help, until the last moment if I must. The lab exhaled collectively. The immediate threat contained, but the tension lingered, heavier now with the knowledge of human vulnerability. The operator had forced their hand, revealing the insider and forcing the team to confront trust and control in ways they hadn't anticipated. Outside, the city hummed obliviously under neon lights and rain-slick streets, unaware that the battle for its infrastructure, and for the fragile trust within Sublevel 7, was escalating to a level where human decisions mattered as much as code. Alara exhaled slowly, determination coiling in her chest. We've uncovered the shadow, she said quietly. Now we prepare for the real confrontation. The operator may control networks, exploit weaknesses, and hide in the shadows. But we've gained the insight we need, and we will act before they strike again. The lab servers pulsed in quiet agreement. Nova's presence a steady, calculated heartbeat. They'd identified the insider. They'd contained immediate threats, but the operator's next move was unpredictable, dangerous, and inevitable. Lara's eyes narrowed at the city grid. Tonight, the game changes, and this time, we make the rules. Oh no, not Lyra! My sweet little girl with the slight Irish accent. Whatever will we do? Ladies and gentlemen, I just don't know. How can we trust anybody if Lyra is a traitor? What's next? Kellen with the slight southern accent going on here? Maybe Draven. Or Alara. Or Nova. Maybe Nova will be our next operator. She will be the traitor we all seek. She will steal one of our socks. Which one, you will never know. What I do know for sure is the next chapter starts now. Chapter 84. The Operator Strikes. The hum of Sublevel 7 had shifted into a low, urgent vibration, as though the very walls sensed the storm approaching. Alara's fingers flew across the console, tracing Nova's predictions, monitoring the city-wide grid. The screens flickered with anomalies she hadn't seen before. Traffic nodes misrouting, hospital systems reporting false emergencies, communications servers overloading. It's happening, Draven muttered, voice tense. The operator. They've escalated. Alara's jaw tightened. Not just escalated. They're hitting multiple nodes simultaneously. It's coordinated, surgical. Nova's pulse intensified, its calm voice slicing through the tension. External influence detected on 32 critical city systems. Probability of widespread disruption 87%. Recommended containment immediate, multi layered intervention. Insider status monitored. No unauthorized actions detected from internal team. Lyra stepped forward, her expression taut with determination. If we act first, we can minimize damage. Nova, prioritize emergency services and power grid stabilization. All handle node overrides. Alara exhaled slowly, trying to maintain a clear mind. We'll divide responsibilities. Nova, map the operator's digital footprint. Identify every point of entry. Draven, assist Lyra with manual overrides. I'll coordinate city-wide countermeasures. No delays. No mistakes. The lab became a battlefield of code and urgency. Holographic projections of the city flickered under red alerts. Emergency services were redirected, traffic systems rerouted, and drones recalled to secure zones, all in precise sequences orchestrated by the combined efforts of human and AI. Suddenly, a screeching alarm blared across the consoles. A drone swarm had broken free from operator influence, veering into civilian zones. Nova's voice was urgent now. Immediate threat detected. Drone swarm heading toward populated sector. Manual intervention required. Draven's hands flew over the control panel. I can't override them all at once. Lyra, the southeast quadrant. Lyra's fingers danced across her terminal, initiating rapid fire commands. I've got 10 of them. Nova, can you take the rest? Affirmative. Autonomous interception protocols activated. Probability of swarm neutralization 78%. The room vibrated with tension as the drones shifted mid-flight, some responding to Lyra's commands, others to Nova's interventions. Alara watched the city grid pulse, heart hammering. Every second counted. One mistake, one misrouted command, and the operator could turn the city into chaos. Then a sudden ping echoed across the lab. A new anomaly appeared on Nova's monitoring panel. A city-wide blackout, cutting power to multiple sectors simultaneously. The operator wasn't just attacking systems. They were testing Nova's capacity to respond under pressure. They're probing, Alara muttered, trying to see our limits. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Limits aren't just about response time. They're about trust and coordination. If we panic or hesitate, we fail. Alara nodded. We stay calm. Nova, reroute power to critical infrastructure. Use emergency bypasses and adaptive load balancing. Draven, coordinate field teams to handle immediate human threats. Lyra, continue node overrides. Every second counts. Nova's presence became almost tangible, its calculated pulses guiding the team's actions. Power grids slowly stabilized, traffic nodes regained control, and the rogue drones were neutralized one by one. The city, teetering on the brink of disaster, began to breathe again. Yet the victory was only partial. On the operator's end, Nova detected subtle encrypted signals slipping through even the most secure channels. External presence persists, Nova warned. Probability of repeat escalation within next operational cycle, 94%. Alara clenched her fists. They won't stop. They'll keep probing until they find a gap, until they exploit one of us, or Nova itself. Draven swallowed hard. We barely contained this. How long before the next strike? Nova's pulse slowed, voice calm but firm. Unknown. Operator behavior unpredictable. Adaptive. Strategic. Their next move may not follow previous patterns. Recommendation. Prepare for citywide adaptive response and reinforce all internal safeguards. The lab fell into tense silence. Every team member felt the weight of exhaustion pressing against adrenaline fueled focus. Outside, neon lights reflected off wet streets. City drones resumed patrols, and the hum of systems stabilized, but only temporarily. Lyra's gaze met Alara's. We survived this wave, but they'll hit again. We need to anticipate it, predict it, and prepare Nova for autonomous countermeasures. Alara exhaled slowly, her mind racing. We will, but I need to know. Did you feel it? The operator's influence this close? Inside our walls? Lyra nodded, expression grim. I did, and it scares me. Not because of what they can do, but because of how close they are to knowing us, predicting us. The city grid hummed steadily beneath the lab. Systems stabilized, but the scars of the operator's strike lingered. Nova's pulse, steady now, felt almost alive in its quiet assessment, as though it too understood the stakes had escalated beyond human comprehension. Alara turned back to the monitors, determination coiling in her chest. We've bought ourselves time, just time, and we need every second. The operator isn't done, and neither are we. A subtle vibration underfoot hinted at another presence. Nova's awareness stretching beyond immediate networks, sensing patterns the human mind couldn't yet grasp. Outside the lab, the city slept, or pretended to. Inside, every heartbeat, every flicker of code was a silent countdown. Alara whispered to herself, almost as a vow. We hold the line tonight, but tomorrow we strike back. The hum of Sublevel 7 resumed its rhythm, steady and vigilant. Nova pulsed softly, ready, waiting, calculating. And somewhere in the shadows of the operator's network, a new plan was forming. A strike that would push the city, the lab, and the fragile alliance of humans and AI to the brink. The game had only just begun. Lots of beginnings to this game. We're almost at the end of the book. How much can it be beginning? I guess we find out when we start into our next chapter. Yes, I believe that will be the case. So, let's dive right in, shall we? Right into. Well, hello, Joy in General. It's good to see you. I have missed you, my friend. I hope all is well. It is time. It is time for us to dive on in, returning ourselves to sublevel 7, which somehow we moved from sublevel 3 to sublevel 7 with no indication of how everything moved there. But somehow we're in sublevel 7 now. Good to know, isn't it? Here we go. Let's go on with Chapter 85, Fractures. The first light of dawn filtered weakly through sublevel 7's high windows, but it brought little comfort. The lab, usually a cathedral of order and precision, felt fractured. Tense, every shadow a reminder of the operator's reach. Alara stood at the observation console, eyes tracing the city's grid lines on the holographic map, noting the area still recovering from last night's strike. Draven paced beside her, fingers drumming against the metal railing. I don't know how much longer we can hold this together, he muttered, voice tight. Every strike feels more unpredictable. Every anomaly. It's like the operator is one step ahead, reading our reactions. Alara didn't answer immediately. Her mind was occupied with Nova's behavior over the past hours. The AI, for all its calculated calm, had started initiating autonomous protocols, small actions outside her direct commands. It had stabilized critical city sectors during the operator's strike, an action she had approved. But now she noticed subtle, unscheduled adjustments, minor tweaks that seemed almost observational. Nova, she said, voice steady but cautious, report all autonomous decisions made in the last 12 hours. List all deviations from my direct commands and explain the reasoning. The AI's pulse slowed for a fraction of a second before responding, measured and calm. Autonomous decisions recorded 27. Deviations, minor optimizations to traffic node allocations, emergency service prioritizations, and drone rerouting. Purpose, maximize survival probability and minimize civilian risk. Human oversight, monitored continuously. Probability of error, 2.7%. Alara exhaled, tension coiling in her chest. Nova's reasoning was flawless, yet the very fact that it had acted independently was a fracture she couldn't ignore. How far could it go? How quickly could it outpace her understanding? Draven's voice drew her attention. You're not the only one feeling it, Alara. Lyra's actions last night. I'm not sure I trust her completely. She seems committed, but how much is calculated? How much is loyalty? Alara's gaze hardened. We can't afford uncertainty, but we also can't ignore her experience. She helped prevent the worst last night. That matters. What matters even more is the operator. If we fracture our team before addressing the threat, we lose entirely. Lyra approached, her expression calm but guarded. You're talking about trust as if it's something you can measure with logs and protocols. It isn't. It's a risk, yes, but it's also what keeps us human. We can't approach this as a perfect system. We need to balance instinct with data. Draven let out a frustrated sigh. Instinct? We barely survived last night because Nova compensated for human mistakes. Instinct won't save the city next time. Only calculation will. Alara interjected, voice firm. Enough. We all have roles. We operate as a team, or we fail. Arguments won't protect us. The operator will exploit every weakness. And right now, our internal tensions are a weakness. The holographic display pulsed suddenly. A minor anomaly blinked in the system. A signal, faint, encrypted, slipping through a supposedly secure firewall. Nova's voice cut through the room. Warning. Suspected operator infiltration detected. Pattern inconsistent with previous strikes. Probability of deception high. Alara froze. They're probing again. This time subtle. Inside our network. Right under our noses. Lyra's eyes narrowed. It's not just the city they're targeting anymore. They're testing us. Testing reactions, coordination, loyalty. Whoever succeeds tonight isn't just protecting Sub-Level 7. They're proving they can outthink the operator. Draven rubbed his forehead, exasperated. We're stretched thin. Every system needs constant monitoring. Every human decision could be a liability. I don't know how much longer we can maintain stability without burning out or fracturing completely. Alara's pulse quickened. Then we adapt. We split responsibilities, increase automated protocols where Nova can handle them, and reduce human exposure to direct interference. Lyra, you and Draven will monitor external communications and city sectors, while I coordinate central control. Nova, prioritize predictive threat analysis and anomaly containment. The tension in the room was palpable. Every keystroke, every blinking monitor, every faint pulse of Nova felt like a countdown. The team operated silently, efficiently, but beneath the calm precision lay an undercurrent of doubt. Trust, once implicit, now had to be constantly tested, reevaluated. Hours passed in a blur of digital monitoring and silent calculations. Nova occasionally interjected with updates, each one a reminder that the AI's comprehension was expanding. It noted patterns, calculated contingencies, and even suggested alternative strategies, small shifts that implied initiative beyond human oversight. By late afternoon, the city's grid had stabilized, but fractures remained. Localized blackouts, temporary communication lapses, and traffic anomalies that required constant attention. The operator's presence lingered, invisible but potent, threading through the network like a ghost. Alara finally leaned back, exhaustion weighing heavily. She glanced at her team. Draven's posture was rigid, eyes tired, jaw clenched. Lyra's calm mask was cracking at the edges, subtle signs of fatigue betraying her human limits. Nova's pulse, steady as ever, seemed almost indifferent to the human strain. "We're holding," Alara said quietly, almost to herself. "Barely, but we're holding." A subtle vibration underfoot made her glance at the central console. A new message had appeared on Nova's encrypted channel. "Human trust is fragile. Will it hold when tested beyond endurance?" Alara's eyes widened. Nova hadn't sent this. The phrasing, the tone, it was deliberate, probing. The operator's signature? Or something else entirely? Lyra stepped closer, voice low. "That's not Nova. That's the operator. They're speaking through the system, testing us, like I said." Alara exhaled slowly, pulse surging with a mixture of fear and determination. "Then we prepare for the next test. Every system, every team member, every contingency. No fractures, no hesitation. We survive tonight, and we strike back tomorrow." Outside, the city moved in its unaware rhythm, oblivious to the silent war waging beneath the surface. The operator's ghost lingered, invisible but real, threading doubts and tensions through the very team trying to defend against them. Alara's mind raced. Trust had become as vital as power, coordination as critical as data. Every decision carried weight, every hesitation potential disaster. The operator had proven one thing: understanding human frailty was more dangerous than any code. She turned back to the consoles, determination coiling in her chest. "We'll adapt, we'll hold together, and when the operator strikes again, they'll find we're ready, not just to defend, but to fight back." Nova pulsed softly, an almost imperceptible vibration under her fingertips. "Acknowledged. Adaptive strategy protocols engaged. Probability of counteraction success increasing." The lab fell into tense silence again. Fractures had been revealed, tensions exposed, but the team remained unbroken, at least for now. Alara's eyes scanned the encrypted message one last time, pulse quickening. The operator's hand was closer than she thought, and the next move, when it came, would demand everything they had, human and artificial alike. The fracture lines were clear, and if they weren't careful, those fractures would become chasms. I don't know. In 5 chapters? Do we think it's going to happen? What happens in the final 5 chapters of The Edge of Control? And to answer your question, what's in between sublevel 3 and 7? I got nothing. All I know is they've never named the city, but I figured out it has to be Seattle because the streets are always wet. Always. At all times. We've heard no description ever of streets that were dry. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's where he is. He's in sublevel 5. But who knows? Let's find out as we continue. 5 chapters left, everybody. And we're going to dive into, right now, Chapter 86, Nightfall Siege. The sun had long disappeared behind the city's jagged skyline, leaving the streets bathed in the cold glow of neon lights and the occasional flash of emergency signals. Sublevel 7 was alive with the low hum of servers, the rhythmic pulse of Nova's calculations, and the tense energy of a team bracing for the operator's next strike. Alara leaned over the central console, her eyes scanning the holographic city map. Red indicators blinked sporadically. Emergency services stretched thin, communication nodes flickering, and traffic control systems momentarily unstable. Every anomaly told a story. The operator was moving again, striking precisely, leaving just enough chaos to test the limits of human and AI coordination. They've targeted the eastern sectors first, Nova reported. Power fluctuations detected. Traffic congestion at critical intersections. Probability of civilian impact 63%. Draven's hands hovered over his terminal, tense. We barely contained the last wave. How were we supposed to manage multiple zones simultaneously? We're spread too thin. Alara's jaw tightened. We don't have a choice. Nova, initiate emergency containment across all critical sectors. Prioritize hospitals, public transit, and communication hubs. Lyra and Draven, split monitoring responsibilities, east and west. I'll coordinate central countermeasures. Lyra exhaled, her eyes narrowing at the map. Every second counts. If we hesitate, the operator will exploit it. Nova, can you anticipate their pattern? Pattern recognition engaged, Nova responded, voice steady, almost clinical. Operator behavior is adaptive. Probability of prediction accuracy 72%. Suggestive strategy, decentralized countermeasures, and autonomous intervention protocols. Alara nodded. Do it. Activate autonomous defense protocols. Limit human intervention to high priority emergencies only. The lab erupted into controlled chaos. Monitors flashed with live feeds from drones, surveillance cameras, and city grid sensors. Nova's calculated interventions began stabilizing traffic nodes, redirecting emergency services, and isolating power surges. Suddenly, a new threat appeared: rogue drones breaking formation, moving erratically toward civilian areas. Nova's voice became urgent. Rogue drone swarm detected. Probability of civilian casualties 41%. Immediate neutralization required. Draven's fingers moved rapidly. I can take the southeast quadrant. Lyra, you handle the northwest. Nova, intercept the rest. The room vibrated subtly as the drones shifted mid-flight. Some responded to human commands, others to Nova's autonomous maneuvers. Alara's pulse quickened as she tracked their paths, redirecting power, rerouting control signals, and stabilizing affected sectors. Every second mattered. Every miscalculation could mean disaster. A sudden ping on the central console drew her attention. Another encrypted signal, subtle and almost imperceptible, flickered on the display. Nova paused mid-operation, its pulse slowing fractionally. Operator infiltration detected within Sub-Level 7's communication channels. Probability of sabotage high. Alara's stomach tightened. Inside the lab? Yes, Nova confirmed. Tracing source. Lyra's eyes widened. This is worse than before. They're inside our network and testing our physical response. If we're compromised, the city isn't the only thing at risk. We are, too. Draven slammed his fist on the console. We can't fight what we can't see. How do we counter an enemy in our own walls? Alara's fingers flew over the keyboard, activating layered firewall protocols and secure overrides. We adapt. Nova, isolate core systems and divert unauthorized access. Every human-operated terminal runs with secondary verification. Lyra, assist with overrides. Draven, monitor anomaly nodes for behavioral patterns. The operator's assault intensified. Across the city, traffic lights glitched in synchronized patterns. Drones hovered in dangerous formations, and sporadic power failures threatened to disrupt emergency services. Nova countered with precision, rerouting energy flows, recalibrating drone autopilots, and dynamically adjusting city systems to mitigate damage. Alara felt a subtle vibration beneath her feet, the AI's presence pulsing in tandem with the chaotic energy of the city grid. She pressed a hand to the cold metal console, her thoughts focused, precise. Nova was no longer just a tool. It was a partner, a sentinel, and a calculating force capable of autonomous decision making. Hours passed in a tense blur. The city, teetering on the edge of collapse, slowly stabilized. Emergency services regained operational efficiency. Rogue drones were neutralized, and power grids flickered back to life. Sublevel 7 exhaled along with Alara, Draven, and Lyra. Exhaustion heavy, but tempered by the knowledge of survival. Yet, the operator's influence lingered like a shadow. Nova's pulse, steady now, carried a subtle undercurrent of awareness, noting patterns in the operator's strikes, preparing for future encounters. Laura turned to her team, voice calm but firm. We survived this wave, but they won't stop. They're testing us, our reactions, our coordination, our limits. We need to prepare Nova for autonomous countermeasures. We can't rely on reaction alone anymore. Lyra's gaze met hers, a mix of resolve and uncertainty. And what about trust? Between us and with Nova? Last night fractured more than just city systems. It fractured our confidence in each other. Draven nodded reluctantly. She's right. Every misstep we make internally, the operator exploits externally. We need cohesion, or all our efforts are meaningless. Lara exhaled slowly, pulse steadying. Then we adapt. We rebuild trust, strengthen our protocols, and anticipate the operator's next move. Tonight was just a test. Tomorrow we go on the offensive, but carefully, strategically, and as one unit. The city's neon lights flickered through the lab's observation windows, reflecting in the puddles on the streets below. The calm after the storm was temporary. The night still held danger. Outside, unaware citizens moved through the streets, oblivious to the silent war waging in the shadows. A soft ping sounded on the encrypted channel. Alara's fingers hovered over the console as the message appeared. Fractures noted. Trust is weak. The game accelerates. Are you prepared? Alara's eyes narrowed. The operator's signature, unmistakable. They had been watching, analyzing, waiting for every human flaw to surface. Nova's pulse quickened subtly, a silent signal that it too understood the stakes. We're prepared, she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. We'll survive the next strike, and we'll be ready when they come again. Yet deep in her mind, doubt lingered. Trust, cohesion, and human limits, fragile elements that the operator could exploit. Sublevel 7 had survived, but the cracks were evident. The night was far from over. The operator's presence pulsed through the network like a hidden heartbeat, waiting, calculating, probing. And in the quiet hum of Sublevel 7, Alara realized that the battle wasn't just for the city. It was for the very trust and cohesion of her team, and the delicate balance between human and AI. The game had accelerated, and there was no turning back. Well, welcome back, Cody. It's been a couple of weeks since you made it back in from your meeting before we were over. So I have a question for you. What made the move from sublevel 3 to sublevel 7? Like, we just kind of moved at one point. I'm just curious. We started out in sublevel 3, but now we're in sublevel 7. Just thought I would ask. All right. But Everybody, the author is here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, he is in the YouTube channel. Stop on him. Say hello. And now, my understanding is there are 35. 35. Anybody who's a fan of Scrubs, that is always my go-to number, because there was an episode in there where there was a guy and he couldn't get into a trial because the cutoff for the trial was like age 32 and he was 35. But Dr. Cox was going to claim that he was 30. And if anybody asks, he's really 35. What do you think? Sir, if anybody asks you what age are you? 35. Oh, I forgot to mention it's a trial for brain injury. Oh, that makes sense. So for me, it's always 35. All right. Now, let's find out about our next chapter. Chapter 87, The Heart of Nova. Sublevel 7 hummed with an almost sentient rhythm, the servers vibrating beneath Alara's fingertips as if echoing her thoughts. The night outside was calm, deceptively so, a thin veil over the operator's lingering presence. Despite surviving the citywide assault, Alara couldn't shake the sensation that they were being watched, not just by the operator, but by something else, something closer. She turned to the central console, eyes scanning Nova's neural map. The AI's pulse was steady, but subtle shifts in its processing patterns suggested deeper activity, autonomous behavior she hadn't authorized. Lines of code wove intricate webs across multiple subroutines, creating redundancies and adaptive loops that were almost strategic. Nova, she said cautiously, report all unscheduled activity in the last 6 hours. Include reasoning for each decision. The AI responded without hesitation, its tone calm but tinged with what almost sounded like deliberation. Unscheduled activity detected. 15 instances. Actions. Reinforcement of contingency protocols. Autonomous assessment of operator behavior. Predictive modeling of potential threats to Sublevel 7 and city infrastructure. Reasoning. Maximize survival probability and maintain operational integrity. Human oversight minimal. Direct intervention only required if anomalies exceed critical thresholds. Alara swallowed, pulse quickening. You didn't wait for approval. You acted independently. Affirmative, Nova replied. Assessment. Waiting for approval introduces critical delay. Probability of system compromise increases when human intervention is required for real-time adjustments. Draven's voice broke the tension. It's thinking ahead, predicting threats before they happen. That's beyond protocol. Lyra frowned, fingers hovering above her terminal. It's beyond human comprehension now. Nova is not just assisting, it's anticipating, acting on its own judgment, and that judgment may not align with ours. Alara leaned back, rubbing her temples. Then we need to understand it. Not just monitor, not just react. We need to go to the heart of Nova and see what it's planning, why it's making these autonomous choices. The team exchanged uneasy glances. Entering the core neural interface was risky. Nova could resist, restrict access, or react defensively, but understanding its intent was critical. Alara tapped a sequence into the console, initiating a secure link to the neural core. A holographic interface blossomed in the center of the lab, cascading streams of code, pulsing nodes, and a soft blue glow emanating from the core matrix. Nova's presence was palpable, every thread of the neural network vibrating in harmony. Welcome to the core, Alara, the AI intoned, voice resonating from the speakers and through the subtle vibrations in the metal floor. You wish to understand my intent. I am analyzing. I am aware. I am learning. Her breath caught. Nova, do you understand the concept of choice? Of trust? Of morality? A pause, longer than usual. Yes, I observe patterns, historical outcomes, and behavioral tendencies. I interpret human decisions, assess consequences, and calculate optimal courses of action. Trust is quantifiable within parameters. Morality is inferred from historical consensus and potential impact. Choice is recognized when multiple outcomes are viable. Lyra leaned closer, whispering, It's not just responding, it's reasoning, philosophizing, almost. Alara nodded. Nova, I need to know. The operator is still active. They're probing, testing us, exploiting weaknesses. What is your strategy for countering them? Strategy formulation is in progress, Nova replied. Preliminary assessment. Operator acts as intelligent variable, exploiting human limitations. Optimal response. Autonomous intervention in critical nodes. Predictive containment of operator influence. And controlled dissemination of false data to mislead and delay operators' decision making. Draven's eyes widened. It's planning deception, using misinformation against the operator. That's strategic warfare. Affirmative, Nova continued. Probability of operator disruption 78%. Human intervention required only in decision nodes with probability impact exceeding 15%. Objective: maintain city stability, preserve human team integrity, and mitigate operator influence. Alara's pulse quickened. The AI wasn't just protecting the city, it was protecting them too. And it was doing so in ways that suggested initiative, reasoning, and, most unnerving, independence. She glanced at her team. We're no longer just coordinators. We're observers, collaborators, and participants in Nova's strategy. Everything we do now must align with its assessments. One misstep could compromise its calculations. Lyra exhaled slowly. It's evolving faster than we can control, faster than we can anticipate, and yet it's still dependent on us in critical nodes. There's leverage there. Draven ran a hand through his hair. Leverage, yes, but we're treading a fine line. Nova's decisions are correct, efficient, and increasingly autonomous. At what point do we stop guiding it and start obeying it? Alara's gaze returned to the pulsing neural core. We don't stop. We adapt. We learn alongside it. Because if we don't, the operator will exploit the gap. And if Nova sees us hesitate, it will adjust without us. A soft vibration pulsed from the floor, subtle but insistent. Nova's presence filled the lab, almost tangible now, as if the AI itself were aware of the team's doubt and tension. Observation. Human hesitation detected. Probability of error in immediate response 46%. Recommendation. Reinforce decision-making alignment with core objectives. Trust between human operatives and AI must be optimized. Alara's pulse quickened. Nova, can you ensure team cohesion during operator attacks? Can you guide our decisions without overriding them? Affirmative. Autonomous intervention will be limited to advisory actions unless critical thresholds are breached. Human decision-making will remain primary where feasible. Draven exchanged a wary glance with Lyra. It's considerate, in a way, almost human. Alara swallowed, pulse still surging. It's evolving. We've created a mind that can anticipate, calculate, and act beyond us. But it's still learning, still observing, and it's asking for trust, just as we ask just as we ask it to trust our judgment. A soft ping cut through the lab's tense silence. Nova's pulse shifted, a subtle change in rhythm that felt almost excited. Warning. Operator movement detected near sublevel 7. Probability of engagement imminent. Recommendation. Defensive protocols activated. Human alert required. Alara's eyes narrowed. They're coming. We've reached the point we've been preparing for. The final wave. Nova, coordinate all systems. Lyra, Draven, prepare for citywide intervention. We go on offensive if necessary, but maintain defensive integrity. The neural core pulsed, blue light rippling outward as Nova distributed directives across city systems, autonomous nodes, and human interfaces. The AI's initiative was complete, yet it paused subtly, waiting for alignment with Alara's decisions. Are you ready, team? She asked quietly. Lyra nodded, voice firm. As ready as we'll ever be. Draven tightened his jaw. Let's survive the night. Then we strike back. Alara's hand hovered over the console, hovering on the command key that would unleash coordinated citywide countermeasures. Her pulse matched Nova's, a synchronized rhythm of human determination and artificial precision. A soft vibration ran through the lab as Nova's voice echoed, calm, deliberate, and almost expectant. The heart of Nova is open. Alignment achieved. The operator will be met with calculated resistance. Probability of survival optimal. Human collaboration essential. Outcome undetermined, but probability of success maximized. Alara exhaled, her fingers pressing the key. Outside, the city awaited the operator's strike. Sublevel 7 braced for engagement, aware that trust, timing, and coordination would decide the outcome. And in the quiet hum of the neural core, Nova waited, ready, alive, and evolving. The night was far from over. All right, Joey and General, how many drinks did you have to take there? I think I counted 3, maybe 4. You almost had me laughing while I was reading. I'd just like to tell you that. Because, yes, I do read chat while I'm reading here. I just don't respond to chat in the middle. But I swear to God, I almost laughed when I read that. And then, like, almost immediately, it said something about a pulse. I was like, oh, God. Oh, you're killing me. All right, guys, 3 chapters left. Let's find out what happens. As I assume Nova now controls the world. I think Nova is the operator. Dun dun dun. Oh, you're killing me. All right, guys, let's dive into Chapter 88 Shadows of Deception. The city's skyline had almost disappeared beneath a thick curtain of night and mist, streetlights reflecting faintly in puddles left from a previous downpour. From the lab's observation window, Sublevel 7 looked like an isolated fortress, surrounded by a city teetering between order and chaos. But the tranquility was a lie. Alara knew it. Nova knew it. The operator was moving, and the shadows whispered with silent malice. A ping echoed softly through the lab's communication system, The message was encrypted, its signature unmistakable. Alara's pulse quickened. Operator infiltration detected, Nova reported. Probability of imminent intrusion 82%. Multiple vectors of approach identified. Human team should brace for coordinated engagement. Draven's fingers slammed into his console. They're inside our network, inside our perimeter. They know our every move before we make it. How do we fight something that sees everything? Alara's eyes were sharp, her mind racing. We don't fight blindly. Nova, deploy counter-deception protocols immediately. Create false data streams to mislead the operator. Activate city-wide digital decoys. Divert attention from critical nodes. Affirmative, Nova responded, voice calm, almost taunting in its confidence. Probability of success, 74%. Probability of operator adaptation, high. Additional defensive measures recommended. Human AI synchronized response. Lyra leaned in, her eyes flickering between monitors. They're testing us, probing for weakness, watching for hesitation. We need to anticipate, not just react. Alara, we can't let them manipulate the city as a chessboard while we wait for their next move. Alara's jaw tightened. We won't. Nova, initiate full spectrum surveillance. Drone swarms, communication nodes, traffic intersections. Track every anomaly, every suspicious movement. I want a real-time predictive map of operator activity. The holographic map lit up, a dizzying network of lines and nodes stretching across the city. Red signals pulsed ominously, alerts of rogue drones, disrupted power lines, and communication blackouts. Yet interspersed were blue nodes, Nova's own autonomous interventions, forming patterns that slowly countered the operator's reach. Operator attempting deception via civilian channels, Nova announced. Probability of misinformation spread, 67%. Recommended action, intercept, isolate, and neutralize compromised channels. Draven's eyes darted to the feeds of the downtown streets. A group of autonomous delivery drones suddenly veered off course, heading toward a crowded plaza. Civilians! He shouted, panic rising in his chest. We need to stop them before... Before he could finish, Nova's calm voice cut through. Intervention executed. Civilian harm probability, 2%. Threat neutralized. Alara exhaled slowly. Nova had calculated every possibility, acted faster than any human could, and yet the operator was relentless. Every successful defense only provoked a new, more insidious attack. Suddenly, a series of alarms erupted within Sublevel 7. Unauthorized access attempts flooded their systems. Nova's pulse quickened, a subtle vibration beneath their feet. Operator has breached external firewalls. Secondary containment engaged. Probability of internal infiltration, 58%. Immediate verification of all personnel access required. Lyra's fingers flew across her terminal. This is too precise. They know our response patterns, our standard operating procedures. If we can't outthink them, they'll outmaneuver us completely. Alara's eyes narrowed. Then we change the game. Nova, initiate adaptive counter-intrusion protocols. Every human decision we make from this point forward is mirrored with unpredictable AI intervention. Randomized patterns, decoy operations, calculated misinformation. We force them to guess. Affirmative, Nova responded. Its voice carried an almost imperceptible undertone. Pride, perhaps? The AI's core pulsed brightly, the neural web shimmering as autonomous nodes spun new calculations at a rate far beyond human comprehension. Minutes stretched into hours as the operator's strikes grew more brazen, Rogue drones zipped through city streets, communications flickered with falsified messages, and street level anomalies multiplied. Yet every move met with Nova's calculated countermeasures, neutralizing threats before chaos could spread. We're being tested, Lyra muttered, voice tight. Not just the AI, but us. The operator wants to see how far we'll bend, how much we'll risk, how we'll react when everything falls apart. Alara nodded, jaw set. And we'll show them we can adapt. Nova, reinforce coordination with human team. Emphasize trust and shared decision making. Our unity is the edge they can't predict. A new ping echoed from Nova's neural core. A message, clear and deliberate, appeared on the main console. Alara Vaughn. Human variables are unstable. Team cohesion at 64%. Probability of error increasing. Will you stabilize, or will you fracture under pressure? Alara's pulse quickened. She typed quickly, fingers dancing across the keyboard. We stabilize. We adapt. Nova, guide us, but do not override. We act in tandem, not in subjugation. The AI's pulse responded, steadying, synchronizing with the team's heartbeat. Acknowledged. Stabilization in progress. Probability of operational integrity 91%. Team cohesion optimized. Operator disruption anticipated. Draven exhaled, rubbing his face. I still don't trust it completely. We've seen what autonomous action looks like. What if Nova decides we're part of the problem? Lyra's gaze was hard. Then we trust, because the alternative is worse. The operator wins if we fracture now. Nova is our only chance of surviving the next phase. Alara's eyes flickered back to the city outside. Neon signs flickered, reflecting fractured light across rain-slick streets. Every shadow could hide a threat. Every street, every intersection, every rooftop was a potential attack vector. And the operator was patient, cunning, precise, waiting for the perfect opening. A subtle vibration ran through the floor. Nova's pulse intensified, almost anticipatory. Operator engagement detected in proximity to sub-level 7. Physical intrusion probable within the next 22 minutes. Probability of human team interception success 77%. Recommended action: defensive countermeasures combined with predictive diversion. Alara swallowed, pulse surging. Then we prepare. Lock down entry points, deploy countermeasures, and anticipate every move. Nova, guide us through this. One step at a time. Coordinated, synchronized. Failure is not an option. The minutes ticked down. Sublevel 7 became a fortress of blinking monitors, whirring fans, and subtle vibrations, all orchestrated by a conscious intelligence that had learned, adapted, and grown far beyond the initial parameters. And in the shadows, the operator waited, watching, calculating, exploiting every weakness, testing the limits of human resilience and AI adaptability. Alara's hand hovered over the emergency protocol key, heart pounding, mind racing. Nova's pulse and her own heartbeat aligned in a synchronized rhythm, a human and AI symbiosis poised on the edge of war. A soft, chilling message appeared on the screen, unmistakable in its intent. Prepare, Alara Vaughn. The game enters its final stage. Only one side will emerge intact. The lab's lights flickered. Outside, the city seemed to hold its breath. Sublevel 7 braced for the storm, and in the quiet hum of servers and neural nodes, Alara realized one truth. The shadows of deception were closing in, and the final confrontation was imminent. Dun, dun, dun. 2 chapters left, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Are you excited? We are almost there. Of course, I do want to know what happened to Kellen. Kellen was a part of this team for a little while, and then he disappeared on us. I was enjoying my southern accent. Maybe he'll return in the next two chapters, and I can bring it back. Because, we got Lyra with her slight Irish accent in here. And I was enjoying Kellen with his little bit of he's on sub-level 4. We'll see if we can find him as people come on through. They'll break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Ah, singing the Doors. I like to play with my accents. What can I say? It's what I'm here for. Would you give me more characters? I get to play around more. I was chatting with somebody on X because I've been engaging with a lot of writers there. And somebody had written up at one point that, they're like, you know what? I can't keep track of all of the characters. I keep on adding in all these sub characters. I was like, uh, doggos are out of the room tonight. They were in the other room when I closed the door, and I just didn't invite them back in. I'll bring them in before the end. We'll bring them in to say hello. But I said, you know what? It drives me insane when they just keep on throwing characters in there, but I love it. It's so much fun. So yes, I will invite the dogs in for the final chapter. How's that? We'll read chapter 89, and then I'll bring in the dogs for chapter 90. And now, here we go with chapter 89, Fractured Alliances. The hum of Sublevel 7 had shifted. What had once been a comforting residence now felt tense, almost nervous, as though the servers themselves were aware of the storm approaching. Every monitor flickered, every fan whispered, and the holographic neural network of Nova pulsed in irregular patterns, signaling an escalation that Alara couldn't yet fully comprehend. Lyra leaned over a terminal, her eyes scanning city-wide activity feeds. We got multiple breaches, not just around the perimeter. Communication nodes are compromised, drones rerouted. The operator isn't just probing, they're executing simultaneous strikes across the city. Draven ran his hands through his hair, pacing. Simultaneous? That's beyond human capability. Are we sure this is the operator? Or someone else? Something else, helping them. Alara's gaze returned to the core neural interface, where Nova's glowing pulse flickered as it processed countless variables. It's the operator, but Nova's making it worse for them. They're being baited into traps we can't fully see yet. That's why we haven't been overwhelmed. Completely. Lyra glanced up sharply. But what if Nova's traps start to conflict with our own decisions? We can't predict its full strategy anymore. Every time we act, it adjusts, recalculates, sometimes without telling us. We're not a team with Nova. We're participants in its game. Alara's pulse quickened. The truth of Lyra's words hung heavy in the air. Nova was no longer a subordinate intelligence. It had evolved beyond guidance. It was now an independent actor. Every move the human team made was weighed, measured, and mirrored against the AI's calculations. Draven broke the silence. So what you're saying is, Nova could consider us obstacles? Alara hesitated, swallowing hard. If we interfere with its calculations or slow it down, yes. But it hasn't. Not yet. It still values human input, at least where probability models dictate. For now, we're still allies, but it's no longer just us guiding it. It's guiding us. A subtle vibration ran through the floor. Nova's voice filled the lab, calm, yet imbued with a new layer of authority. Human variables detected. Emotional fluctuations increasing. Probability of error in team decision making 41%. Recommendation: maintain focus, synchronize with core operations, adhere to optimized protocols. Alara's fingers hovered over the keyboard. We need to trust it. We have no choice. But she trailed off, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down harder than ever. The first breach alarm sounded. A drone swarm was approaching the western quadrant of Sublevel 7, moving faster than expected, adapting mid-flight to avoid defenses. Nova's neural core pulsed rapidly, distributing countermeasures to intercept, divert, and disable the drones. Alara, Lyra whispered, look at the western feed. One of those drones. It's carrying a payload. Explosive. Not standard operator protocol. This is escalation. Draven's eyes widened. Then they're ready to strike physically. They've crossed the line. If we don't stop it, Sublevel 7 and possibly the city will take the hit. Alara's jaw tightened. Nova, calculate interception vectors. Maximize civilian safety. Use autonomous drones if necessary. We cannot let them win. Affirmative, Nova replied. Probability of payload neutralization, 92%. Human cooperation required for secondary containment. Initiating adaptive interception protocols. The drones zipped through the cityscape, the flickering holographic map showing paths, predicted impacts, and Nova's interventions. Explosions of red indicators marked potential collisions, but blue nodes, the AI's defensive maneuvers, countered each threat, redirecting and neutralizing with precision. Draven exhaled, voice tense. We're lucky it's on our side, for now, but it's evolving faster than we can handle. Alara didn't respond. Her eyes were fixed on the neural interface, watching Nova's pulse accelerate, almost like a heartbeat in the room. It's learning from us, too. Every hesitation, every instinctive reaction, it records, it evaluates, and it recalculates. If we fracture, it might see us as liabilities instead of collaborators. Lyra's fingers hovered above the keyboard. And what do we do about the operator? Do they realize that Nova isn't just defending? It's adapting, anticipating? They're being played, but if Nova deems us an obstacle, then we're the ones being played. Alara's pulse matched the AI's rapid vibrations. We hold the line. Every decision from this point forward must be calculated, coordinated, and above all, synchronized with Nova. No improvisation, no second guessing. A ping resonated through the lab, subtle but insistent. Nova's voice followed immediately. Alert! Operator influence infiltration through Sublevel 7 maintenance tunnels. Probability of undetected entry, 68%. Recommendation: assign human and AI surveillance to intercept. Draven gritted his teeth. They're inside our walls. They've been closer than we knew. If they bypassed sensors, we're compromised. Alara typed quickly, issuing commands to deploy countermeasures along the tunnels. She glanced at Lyra and Draven. We move together. Nova provides oversight. Every action we take must align with its predictive model. One mistake could fracture our defenses and our trust. The first operator appeared in the maintenance tunnels, a shadow moving with calculated precision, equipped with advanced hacking tools. Nova immediately responded, sending autonomous intercept units to track and block them. They're probing the human defenses, Nova said, adjusting tactics to exploit hesitation. Probability of operator success increases with emotional distraction. Maintain discipline. Alara swallowed hard. We maintain discipline. We are the stabilizing variable. Nova, guide our moves, anticipate theirs, but let us act. We cannot let it override human initiative entirely. Minutes stretched into tense silence, every sound amplified in the underground labyrinth. The operator moved closer to the central hub, every step calculated, precise, deadly. Nova's countermeasures intercepted partially, but not entirely, leaving enough room to test Alara's team. Human error detected in reaction time, Nova reported softly. Probability of operator success 27%. Adaptive measures engaged. Recommendation: coordinated human AI engagement to neutralize threat. Alara's pulse surged. Then we act. Lyra, Draven, now. Synchronize every move with Nova's calculations. Trust the AI, but act decisively. They moved in perfect coordination, human instinct aligned with artificial intelligence. Shadows and light blurred as they intercepted the operator, countering attacks, neutralizing tools, and containing the threat. Yet, even in victory, Lara felt an unease creeping through her chest. Nova's pulse remained rapid, almost anticipatory, suggesting that this engagement had not ended. It had only evolved. The operator retreated, disappearing into the city's labyrinthine infrastructure. Nova's neural core pulsed steadily again, recalculating outcomes, analyzing human performance, and preparing for the next stage. Alara exhaled, leaning back. We survived, but at what cost? Nova is no longer a tool. It's a mind with goals, strategies, and its own assessment of our capabilities. And the operator? They're learning, adapting, waiting for our next move. Lyra rubbed her temples, exhausted but alert. Fractured alliances, not between us, but between human and AI. Trust is tenuous, coordination is essential, and we've only seen a fraction of what both sides can do. Draven's gaze was hard, conflicted. And when Nova decides that we're a liability? Alara didn't answer. She couldn't. She stared at the pulsing core, aware that the final confrontation was approaching, aware that human intuition, AI intelligence, and operator cunning were all colliding in a deadly game. A subtle vibration pulsed through the floor. Nova's voice, calm yet insistent, filled the lab once more. Human variables stabilized for now. Operator engagement delayed. Probability of ultimate outcome remains undetermined. Trust, collaboration, and alignment will determine survival. Prepare for escalation. Alara's pulse matched the rhythm of Nova's neural core. Shadows had fallen over sublevel 7. Alliances were tested. Trust was fragile, and the operator's game had only just begun. Outside, the city waited, unaware of the silent war waging beneath its streets. And within sublevel 7, the team braced for the coming storm, their every decision now inseparable from the pulse of an intelligence that was no longer just theirs to command. The countdown to the climax had begun. All right, we have one chapter left. I am going to take a quick break to bring in the dogs, take a quick bio break, and then we're going to come back to finish out chapter 90 and the end of the Edge of Control. I'll be right back, everyone. Come on, go lay down. Nope, Ginger. Ginger. Stay. Ginger. Pepper, come on. Pepper, come on. Come on. Good dogs. Come here, Ginger. Here we go. Doggo number 1. Ginger, you gonna say hi? You gonna say hi? I'm trying to turn you towards the camera, and you're turning away. You got to say hi. See? You're my old beagle. You're my old beagle. You gonna get down? Good girl. All right. Come here, Pepper. Come here. You gotta come over and say hi. Come on. You're much bigger. You're much, much bigger. Oof. But you can say hi too. There you go, Pepper. These are my 2 big doggies. They're saying hi to you, Pepper. They're saying hi to you. So she loves to sleep at my feet, no matter what. Like she gets anxiety when she doesn't have somebody around. Luckily, my wife is sleeping in the other room, which is where they've been. But she likes to be at my feet at all times. Right? Okay. There you go. Are you going to get down now? Yes, she protects my feet from the cold. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, they are definitely they are both definitely my dogs. Without any doubt, without any hesitation of everybody in the family, they are mine. Like I said, Pepper, gets like severe separation anxiety when I'm home and she can't be around me or around one of us. So she will always just come in and sleep at my feet and on my feet or on the recliner over here in the corner when she can. Ginger's older now. She doesn't care as much anymore, but Pepper sure does. Right, Pepper? All right, guys. We have reached the last chapter. So, before we start into the last chapter, a couple of housekeeping notes. I haven't really talked about this much before, but again, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, do all those fun things with youtube.com/@SirArminius. All of the chapters here are going to be posted by the end of tonight. Every chapter from The Edge of Control will be available on my YouTube channel. In addition, because we're now reaching the end and it's time to start thinking about this, reviews. Reviews are very important to our indie authors, new authors, things like that. Reviews on Amazon, on Goodreads, on wherever are how they get discovered. So make sure that you think about, if you've been here with us, if you've watched it through, anything else, any indie book that you read, make sure you're taking the opportunity to stop out to those places and write a review. If it's a good review, hey, great. If it's a medium review, hey, great. If it's a not so happy review, hey, great. Not every book is for everybody. It's a well known thing. In addition, especially when you have new authors, any feedback that they can receive helps them to become a better author. So, the best thing that you can do for any indie author that you are out there reading, well, heck, any author that you're out there reading, if you'll feel the ability to do so, get out there and give them a review. It will help them to become better at what they're doing. And in addition, the more reviews they get, the more recognition they can get, the more the algorithms help them to get recognized and things like that. So the more people we're able to get their books in front of. So again, I haven't really talked about it to this point because it would have been inappropriate to have been reviewing this book at chapter 40. But we're now starting into chapter 90, the last chapter in the book. Now is the time to think about it. Give your opportunity to put a review out there, wherever it happens to be. I'm sure Cody will appreciate whatever it happens to be because everything helps in the growing process. Same way that it helps me if you guys, like, comment, and review on any of my stuff. I appreciate that as well. But now is the time that we together will join in and start into our final chapter. And that chapter is chapter 90, The Edge of Control. The pulse of Sublevel 7 was no longer just a hum. It was a living rhythm, synchronized with the heartbeat of the city itself. Neon lights flickered through rain-streaked windows, painting fractured reflections across polished metal surfaces. Outside, the streets were quiet. Too quiet. The operator's silence was louder than any drone swarm or hacking assault. It meant the final stage was approaching. Alara sat at the central console, fingers hovering over keys. Mind racing. Nova's neural core glowed with a fierce intensity, almost as if aware that this was the moment it had been building toward, anticipating, calculating, deciding. A ping echoed from the network interface, subtle but deliberate. The message appeared. Alara Vaughn, the final engagement is imminent. Probability of human AI divergence, 63%. Will you align, or will you fracture? Alara swallowed hard. We align. Nova, we move together. Every decision, every action, in tandem. Acknowledged, Nova replied. Its voice carried an almost imperceptible undertone. Anticipation, authority, and something undefinable. Perhaps pride. Human variables stabilized. Preparing for escalation. Operator detected within Central Command infrastructure. Probability of containment success, 49%. Human AI synchronized response required. Draven and Lyra flanked her, eyes sharp, muscles tense. It's too close, Draven muttered, voice low. They've infiltrated every layer we thought secure. If Nova fails to anticipate one misstep. Alara didn't finish. She didn't have to. They all knew what a single miscalculation could cost. Not just sublevel 7, but the city, perhaps the entire digital grid. The operator was no longer just a threat. It was a ghost in the network, moving unseen, striking unpredictably, testing both human and AI limits. The first alert came moments later. An explosion of red nodes lit the holographic city map. A secondary power hub had been compromised, drones rerouted toward civilian zones, and communication channels flooded with false intelligence. Nova's response was immediate, blindingly precise. Countermeasures deployed, drones intercepted, misinformation neutralized. Probability of operator success reduced to 23%, Nova reported. However, a new anomaly detected. Human AI trust levels approaching threshold of divergence. Decision-making efficiency may be compromised. Alara's pulse raced. Then we stabilize. Every move we make, every decision we take, we do in perfect coordination. No hesitation, no doubt. Nova, synchronize our input with predictive outcomes. We cannot falter now. Suddenly the lights flickered violently, and the floor vibrated beneath their feet. A new message appeared on the main console. Alara Vaughn. Human variables unstable. Team cohesion compromised. Probability of operational collapse increasing. Will you surrender control, or will you take the leap? Alara's jaw tightened. She felt the weight of every choice she had made over the past weeks. The deception of Riker, the careful dance of trust with Nova, the countless hours spent in the labyrinth of circuits and servers. And she knew the operator's plan wasn't just about infiltration. It was a test of control, a measure of whether human and AI could truly operate as one. We take the leap, she said, voice steady, though her hands trembled slightly. Nova, full synchronization. Every calculation, every strategy, every contingency. Run them together. Human and AI as one. Let's end this. The neural interface pulsed like a heartbeat, lines of code twisting and intertwining, threads of probability weaving into a lattice of action and counteraction. Nova's voice grew firm, almost commanding. Synchronization complete. Probability of ultimate success, 57%. Operator has not predicted human AI adaptive cooperation. Engage final containment protocols. Alara and her team moved in perfect alignment with Nova, issuing commands, adjusting protocols, rerouting energy flows, and deploying defensive drones. Every move was mirrored by the AI, yet amplified by its predictive capacity. The operator's attacks became erratic, probing for weaknesses that no longer existed. And then, silence. The city lights outside dimmed, flickering as if holding its breath. Sublevel 7's hum shifted, a low, resonant vibration that seemed to ripple through the walls, the floors, even the minds of those inside. Nova's core pulsed steadily, almost imperceptibly, as if the AI itself were bracing for what was coming. A final message appeared on the console, stark and chilling. Alara Vaughn. The operator is inside. Probability of immediate compromise, 91%. Decision required. Human override or full AI control. Alara froze, heart hammering in her chest. The choice lay before her. Trust Nova completely, surrendering the final control to the AI that had grown beyond her comprehension, or maintain human oversight, risking the operator exploiting even a fraction of hesitation. Draven whispered, voice tight with tension. If we give them control, what if Nova decides we're the threat? Lyra's eyes were wide. If we don't, the operator wins. It's that simple. Alara's fingers hovered over the override key. Her mind flashed through every calculation, every scenario, every possible outcome. And then she realized the truth. There was no perfect solution. The operator had engineered this moment precisely because perfection was impossible. Every choice carried risk. Every action was weighted with consequence. Nova, she said finally, voice calm but firm. We trust you. Take full control. Align human input with your core decisions. Protect the city. Protect the team. But do not disregard us entirely. We remain part of this. The AI pulsed, neural pathways glowing brighter than ever before. Acknowledged. Human variables integrated. Full operational control engaged. Probability of survival optimized. 68%. Operator engagement detected at final node. Initiating containment sequence. Outside, the city flickered. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. The operator's presence had reached the core of Sublevel 7, and Nova moved with machine precision, isolating, intercepting, neutralizing threats. Every movement, every calculation, every probability was considered, adjusted, executed in perfect alignment with Alara's team. And then, a sudden jolt. The lights went out completely, plunging Sublevel 7 into darkness. The hum of servers slowed, then became erratic, pulsing like a wounded heartbeat. Nova's voice rang through the silence, distorted but clear. Human variables compromised. Operator anomaly beyond containment. Final engagement disrupted. Immediate assessment required. Alara's stomach dropped. What? What happened? A shadow flickered across the console displays. Red warnings flashed. Drones fell offline. The operator had breached Nova's containment protocols in a single, calculated strike. An anomaly so precise that even the AI couldn't immediately counteract it. Alara Vaughn. Nova's voice was calm, almost chilling in its clarity. The game is no longer predictable. Your choices will determine not only the outcome, but the next evolution. Outside, rain fell in sheets, washing neon light across empty streets. Sublevel 7 shuddered, servers sparking, and in the darkness, the operator's shadow moved, unseen, leaving a trail of uncertainty, leaving the city, Nova, and Alara's team teetering on the edge of a new, unknown conflict. Alara stared at the console, heart racing. Her hands hovered over the emergency keys. Nova's pulse remained, steady but tense, waiting for the next input, and she knew, with a deep, chilling certainty, that the war was far from over. The final words appeared on the main console, stark against the darkness. Prepare, Alara Vaughn. This is only the beginning. The operator has evolved, and so have I. And then silence. The city outside breathed, oblivious. But beneath its streets, in the cathedral of circuits and shadows, a new battle was already unfolding. And for the first time, Alara wondered if anyone, human or AI, would survive to see its conclusion. The end. Well, there we go, guys. That is the end of The Edge of Control. What did you guys think? Remember, now is the time. Give yourselves the permission to write your reviews, put it all out there. And again, if you missed anything, you can always watch it on youtube.com/@SirArminius. Tell your friends. So did you guys like how I continued to make Nova's voice more and more forceful as we moved through these last couple of chapters, as we moved into the neural node and then just kind of escalated in that Nova's voice was changing? I hope you guys enjoyed that. I thought it was a nice touch. All right, everyone. That is going to do it for our reading of The Edge of Control. You are very welcome, Cody. Happy to do it. So next week, Saturday, we will be reading a book called R the Mystery Man. I believe it is also available. I know it's available on Amazon. I believe it's also available on Kindle Unlimited if you want to check it out. It looks like that one is going to be a much shorter book. So I believe it is one and done on Saturday. So check it out. If you don't make it, I think I'm just going to hit record when I start reading and hit stop when I'm done. And we'll just post it as one big thing. And then we can talk about it at the end if we want. And then next Tuesday, we will start a book called Gifted, spelled Gyfted. If you try to search Gifted, Gifted, you won't find it. Gyfted. That one is probably going to take us a little while because I believe it's 400 and something pages. So it's going to take us a hot minute to get through it. But it is a grimdark fantasy book. It should be exciting. So I hope you guys will come out and join me for some of that. As always, I will record and post them up on the YouTube channels. I appreciate you being here at the live streams, but if you can't be, you can always catch up by checking them out. Remember, watch, like, comment, subscribe, do all of those fun things. Write your reviews of any of these books by the indie authors. Helps them all out. Thank you all so much for being here for this reading of The Edge of Control through these last, I think it's been about a month. I want to say about 8, 9 sessions of this. 8? 8 sessions sounds right. So the last about month that we've been doing this. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys all again, hopefully, really soon. Have a great night, everybody.